but I was trying to be more, you know, I know my grandmother's watching. She goes, "You don't drink out of a can in public or a bottle."
Ooh,
They sent me to charm school.
we are
You know,
live.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
good
everyone.
morning.
Good
morning.
morning.
Or at least for some of us, it's morning.
Exactly. Or afternoon, whatever your time slot is. Yeah, hey.
Whoa. I've lost the script.
What
haven't
does your
It's your
mug
so
say,
far.
Bob?
It says
Back
Oh.
my Racticino.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh,
But
Bob, I managed to.
in the back of it, it says,
Oh.
I'm in my happy place.
Oh, there you go.
Nice. Cool. Well, welcome to the Scotch Tracker, everyone. Today we'll be discussing the subject, the best way to watch Star Trek. What would you say are your favorite ways to watch Star Trek, if you have any? And what are some of the best experiences you've had that have been related to Star Trek?
Gosh.
Wow.
Okay, well, I'll start. One of my
Yeah.
favorite ways to watch Star Trek, actually, a few years ago, I don't know if this would happen over in Scotland, but over here in the States, they were celebrating the release of the re-release of like Next Generation on DVD, and they actually had episodes in the movie theaters.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was in the movie theaters, like some of the best episodes of season 1 of the Measure of a Man. That was season 2, Measure of Man, and like the Crystal Entity, because they redid it in Blu-ray, so they were showing the new quality of the shows now, like in the Blu-ray format.
Yeah.
And so that was like one of my favorite ways, was actually going to the movie theater and like hanging out with which was then the Inferno, because I was part of the Inferno crew. And so that was actually
And
one of my favorite
Starfleet
ways. That's
International.
like that was that instantly came to mind when you asked that question. I was like, that was so much fun watching the episodes of Next Generation on the big screen. That was fun.
They
So-
didn't do that here where I live in Bent Fork.
Oh, I thought that was nationwide.
Yeah, they had
Probably
a
what-
program. Was it Fathom that was doing
Fathom.
that?
It
Yeah,
would have
that was
probably
Fathom,
been in
yeah.
Knoxville or Charlotte. We don't get a lot of Fathom stuff here. We did for
Okay.
the Wrath of Khan thing and the What We Left Behind. But yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
the only thing
that's-
about that was when seeing Best of Both Worlds, which was like the best cliffhanger episodes of Next Gen ever.
Right.
Mhm.
Seeing it as spectacular as it was seeing it on the big screen, when you get to that moment where you know they zoom in on Riker and he's like fire, you know, and then it just continues on and you don't have this big tense moment where the screen lights up and says to be continued. You know, it was
Right,
like,
right.
oh, that's right, yeah. But
Yeah,
it was
'cause they were
good to see it
edited
as a
together.
2-hour movie. It was
Yeah.
that was good. But you know,
That's
They did
neat.
have the premiere screenings of What We Left Behind, as you mentioned, the DS9 documentary here in the UK.
awesome documentary.
I'm glad I saw that in the
we
theater.
saw that when it came out. Very good. Well done.
That was the Deep Space Nine, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, I
very
still
well done.
have to see that. I
Oh
have
my
not gotten around-
gosh.
I've been trying to keep up with the current stuff with Discovery and everything. I just have not done that.
Well, now it's a
Without
dry
giving
spot.
away-
So
Without giving away spoilers, which is weird to say for a documentary, but
Yeah.
there is a portion of the documentary where they have a animated, partly animated segment going over the script idea that they would have if they could bring Deep Space Nine back as a new series, which actually they're considering doing, I understand. So it's a wonderful, and it has the voices of the the cast, and it was a compelling story. I could hear
Mhm.
everybody in the audience saying, they should do this live, they should do this,
right.
you know.
Cool.
I've watched it 3 times and I keep seeing stuff I missed.
Right.
Right, yeah, it's
Okay.
really
Yeah.
good. It's a really good documentary. Well,
Mhm.
certainly well
Right.
recommended.
And then another thing that
Danny's just
was fun
logging
to
in,
do.
so
Oh, go
we'll
ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
we'll invite her into the discussion as well.
Goddess is coming.
Hey, I gotta do.
But I was remembering watching the TNG series finale at a convention. I thought that was brilliant. And there's a shot where you see the three nacelled future Enterprise swoop up towards the camera, and I always
Mhm.
remember the applause in the audience from that moment. That was a great experience, I thought.
Yeah.
I remember, let's see, was it first, which movie did they break the champagne bottle on the hull of the Enterprise?
Generations.
Generations.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
That's
how
okay.
how it opened, and you were like, "What
Yeah,
are we
exactly.
watching? What are we watching?" And it was revolving around.
I was there with my kids, and they were pretty small, and I think Matthew was like 10, 9 or 10. And when that bottle hit and everybody was silent in the theater, he heard this little voice say out, "I hope it was Corbell," you know. But that's a commercial that was over here, Dan,
right.
and because if it wasn't Corbell, they didn't break the bottle or anything, you know.
Right,
So
It
and
was
then
it was a Picard, I believe.
yeah, and then when Morgan fell asleep because she was 4 years younger, and she woke up when the saucer section was crashing. So here
Mhm.
she's on my lap asleep, wakes up and sees that saucer section coming, and she screamed. That was
Right.
my memorable thing,
Been
trying to
scary.
calm her down.
Good. I recently saw, well, I say recently, it was when Star Trek Beyond was being released. The cinema, they showed the three films back to back: Star Trek 2009, Into Darkness, and Beyond. I quite enjoyed that. And
That's
when
nice.
Into Darkness was released, I went down to London and watched it on the huge IMAX screen in the BFI, British Film Institute there. Yeah, some experiences I found really enjoyable.
Oh yeah, another enjoyable thing that this way we did on the Stella Parada, actually on the current Pittsburgh ship, is that when Picard came out, we had a party, we had a watch party, and we all drank Earl Grey tea.
Oh,
Oh, cool.
We all
we kind of did that too. Yeah, we kind of. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah. We all toasted. It's like Picard. So
I had
what
Romulan Ale.
to make that happen, I brought my PlayStation 4, which I have CBS All Access on that. And so I brought my PlayStation 4, hooked it up to the TV to like the members like home, and then we hooked up my PlayStation 4 to the Wi-Fi services of someone's cell phone, and we made it work. We made it work. But no, it's moments like that that make it way more enjoyable.
I like watching with a group.
I do too. I do
Yeah.
too. It's a lot more fun.
Well, yeah, I thought like what would make it special, and I wrote down well, the times I enjoyed watching it being like at a convention, but I wrote down with fellow Trekkies who mean a lot personally. I think that can be really nice. You know, they mean a lot to you, and they not only are you getting enjoyment from what you're watching, but they are as well, and you know that they are. I think that can be really cool.
I was reminded, with Facebook throwing reminders at you from the past or posts from the past that what was it, 23 years? No, it's got to be longer than that for Deep Space Nine's premiere, because it was 1993, two. That my ship had hosted, in my then little bungalow, and that we squeezed everyone in to watch it on a small screen and squished in. But we just were thrilled with the premiere of DS9.
Right. You make it
I'm
work.
sure we did the same for Next Gen, and I think we were somewhere else for Voyager, but we were together. We were at one of our members' apartments. On Enterprise, yeah, we were at my then chief engineer's little apartment. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When Voyager premiered, it wasn't on our cable network in Kingsport, and I lived right across the line in Bluntville, and that cable company had it, which was surprising because it was even smaller. And we all crammed into my little house, the ship I was on then, and watched the premiere of Voyager. And the guys were making remarks about having a female captain. It just really wasn't right. They didn't do that in the original series, stuff like that. I'm like, you can leave.
Right.
So probably for those who don't know, I should probably explain, like, the three co-hosts who kindly joined me today are talking about experiences they're in Starfleet International, a fan organization.
You want us to introduce
Would you do-
ourselves?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Bob, you're the longest member. You go.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the old man here. I'm Bob Vossler, Admiral. I joined Starfleet back in 1982, so that makes me ancient. I've run my chapter, the USS Challenger, for now 32 years, uninterrupted, which also makes me certifiably crazy. But I've had wonderful experiences through Star Trek fandom, and especially Starfleet, and through my chapter, and with my region of our corner of Starfleet, which is New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, even Pittsburgh, part of Pennsylvania too. Washington, D.C. Yeah, I don't think I forgot anybody, but we've just had a blast, and it's a wonderful Star Trek community with lots of different programs and loads of chapters that just interact together, and we just have loads of fun. So check it out, sfi.org.
I can't imagine Starfleet without Bob. I mean, you're one of the first names I saw in the old newsletters, when I first joined. Well, I'm Kimberly Donahoe. I am the commanding officer of the USS Yorktown, Starfleet Chapter of the Year. Sorry, I had to put that in. And I'm in Kingsport, Tennessee, but we have members that are in Bristol, Tennessee, and Virginia, and all the way down to Knoxville, Tennessee, part of Region 1, which is below Bob. I don't know how they did that. Region 7 and Region 1 right below it. I don't know how they did that.
Well, Region 7 always considers itself number 1, but that's okay.
It's true. But I've been in Starfleet since '93 and raised my kids in it. And I've made a lot of good friends and acquaintances, and it's enabled me to broaden my worldview by traveling to different regions to meet people. I got to see just how people in other states react. And I've met a lot of people from around the world, like Dan. And so and the coffee drinker over there, I met him through Starfleet. My coffee drinker, not Bob.
How's that funny? Bob?
Yeah. I hate coffee and the smell of it's killing me, but yeah. All right, Maria.
Okay. Hey, I'm Maria Dutilli. I am the captain of the USS Stella Parada in the best region, Region 7. Hey, and we are located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We like to nickname ourselves as Border Patrol because Region 1 is right next door to us. So we patrol and make sure we keep Region 7 safe. Ha ha ha. So we do a lot of activities here in Pittsburgh. We're the Starfleet Pirates, so we're very proud of that. So we do a lot of different activities, and I really enjoy being in Starfleet International because I got to meet Bob, I got to meet Kim, I got to meet Dan, I got to meet John, like all these different people, like all throughout like the world, so I've really been enjoying being part of Starfleet International. I've been a member for 10 years now. I was member of the USS Inferno. That's the previous Pittsburgh chapter. We renamed ourselves like a little over a year ago. And now we're the Stella Parada, and we've been having a great time. We've been running a lot of online events. It'll be a year. We have run the 10 Forward. We call it the 10 Forward movie event that is held every other Saturday in Region 7. And we've been holding it now. It'll be a year, March 20th. When I first started that, it originally just started just as something because I didn't want to cancel our event because we were going to see A Quiet Place Part 2 movie. But then because of COVID last year, everything got shut down. So I was like, well, why not like just do something like online? You know, like it just kind of randomly popped in my head. Almost now a year later, we're still at it. And I thought we were just going to be having it for a few months. Ha ha.
Yeah, we all did. We all did.
I thought, oh, this will just be for a couple months, then we'll get back to going to the movies. It will be a year, March 20th, that we have run that event. So I'm proud of that. So
Yeah, it's added a lot of fun, and and other people beyond our region can come and watch it.
exactly. Yeah,
Which
everybody is
I've
welcome.
been. Mhm.
Yeah. Everybody is welcome. Next one is going to be January 30th, and it's going to be Star Trek Insurrection. I'm making it a Captain
Oh,
Prerogative.
that's cool.
Yes, and I love that Star Trek movie. It has
I
not
do too.
been fully as like, you know what? It's Captain Prerogative. I am going to have that.
I love
think that's
that.
a good choice.
I
Yeah,
had the soundtrack to that. I would love to go take a vacation in the Baku village.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so peaceful.
So yeah, that's
know,
what the Star Piranha is all about. We're fun. We're a fun group of peoples. Come join.
Not that it would have been a much of a story, but you would think that Picard, instead of doing what he did in Star Trek Picard, that if you're going to leave Starfleet, you go to that planet and get de-aged and spend time with that beautiful woman, and
Right.
that's how you retire. Not hanging around with your grapevines, in Picard, winery as much. You leave that off and you just hang out, and that's where I would want to retire.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
would.
True.
And when I met Jonathan Frakes, I
Danny.
actually gave him a compliment of that. It's like, I really enjoyed that movie. And he's, oh, thank you. Because
Mhm.
I really, because he directed that Insurrection.
Mhm.
So I really enjoy it. And being a sociologist, I love how my field is represented in that field, in that movie, because it's like, that's what I would be doing in the future. I would be on the planet spying on people, doing social research on the community.
Yes. Yeah. I
That's-
could picture
That's
that.
what I would be doing. It's like, that's my career right there. Finally, I get to see
Yeah.
it.
Well, that movie has a special significance for us because of us being my chapter, the USS Challenger, because when that was coming out, we were contacted, and I don't know why they contacted us, and I don't remember if it was all of Region 7 or just us, but IBM was, I believe it was IBM was doing a commercial, and you may have seen it, where it was kind of shot in New York, and somebody was carrying a Borg character, and it was shot in a cafe. Really had nothing to do with Insurrection, but it came out around the time of the Insurrection because that's why they wanted to run that commercial. So a very nice young woman came and interviewed members of my crew, in my little backyard at the bungalow, and Emily, who came off as the most normal of us all, which makes sense. Sorry, she's not here to prove it, but she's out and about doing stuff. But she got selected, and she was in like 3 seconds of this commercial, and we had to go to New York City to shoot the commercial. And of course, it was the day of the Yankees had won the World Series, and of course, the parade was about to happen. So finding parking in New York is difficult to begin with, but they had
that's
shut
impossible.
down one little block. They had shut down, so we were able to park. We didn't know what to do. We were like, oh my god, and we're looking at the time, and we had to get there at some god awful hour of the morning. But they treated Emily like a queen. Once we were able to park and everything, they said, here's wardrobe. like she was treated like a big actress for 3
Right.
seconds, and she got into the commercial and made all of $40, which we had to pay tax on. But it was okay. We had
Wow.
fun. It was something to talk about that we'll never forget.
Exactly.
Yeah, that sounds great. In case you're tuning in, I haven't caught the introduction. We're discussing the best way to watch Star Trek, and various topics regarding all around that major subject. I realised that the three of you, thank you for introducing yourselves. We've brought on Danny, who hasn't unfortunately had a chance to introduce yourself. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, hello everybody. I was just enjoying the stories out here in space where no one can hear you scream. Um, I know, lone science officer all by herself, just floating in space, in and out. That's what I do. That's what I do. Um, but yeah, it's me. I'm here. Hello.
Hey,
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice
we're
to
glad
meet
you're here. It was great meeting you the other night.
That's what I do. I hang
Mhm.
out, I
Yeah.
talk, and I sing random songs. It's great.
We knew we were going to get along quite well as soon as you had mentioned that you two like DS9 like as your favorite. So
Yes. Long live the Cisco.
yeah,
It's my favorite, but Voyager runs a close second. Well, I love it all. I like different aspects of everything.
Right.
You know, each series speaks to a different part of me. And as I've got older, though, Deep Space Nine is firmly entrenched as my favorite.
Yeah.
As I tell everyone, when it comes to Deep Space Nine, it actually transcends time really well versus a lot of the other shows. Like their
Mhm.
storylines are ones that if you did it today, it would still make sense.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Especially in the world that we live in and the
Right.
different
Yeah.
things that happen with it. It's that realistic Trek that I think that Discovery keeps trying to go for that they kind of miss just a little bit.
Maybe.
yeah. And you saw the flaws in the crew as well.
Mhm.
They were pretty much on target as to what heroic Starfleet would do, but they had flaws. They had
Yeah. They had
mistakes.
moral
They owned up to them,
dilemmas.
and those mistakes came back to haunt them.
Yes.
And they all grew from the first episode to the last episode. You couldn't look at any of those characters without saying, "Wow, they came. They
They
started
had a
here, they
mhm.
ended here, and they were
Mhm.
better people because of it."
No
They,
no one's a flat character. Like
no,
everyone grows. And
yeah,
I personally love the fact that you saw a high ranking like Starfleet officer on the ship that had a family. Because most of the time they tell you, oh, you can't have a family, you can't have a
Right.
family. And
yeah,
Cisco did. And Cisco on top of that was a single father. So which is
Well,
unusual outside of the fact that he was a black captain that people weren't used to. But it's just, seeing a single father is something that most people would never think to see, because you would see a single mother before you would see a single father.
Right, like
yeah.
Dr.
And
Crusher.
he showed himself to be a
Uh-huh.
wonderful father.
Oh, he
Hmm.
loved his him. Like,
Yeah,
even when priorities are that, he has to prioritize his ship and crew versus his son, he's still the whole time he does that, but at the same time you can tell he really loves his son. He's really compassionate about his family and like his own father and his roots, and that I
yeah,
like that they let that kind of like shine into it. So that's why I said with Deep Space Nine, I feel like you still had characters that were extremely well rounded, and I love TNG is my close second. I love it, but most of the characters, after all, if you really think about it, you had the nerd guy who could never get a girlfriend, the horny first officer. I'm like, just everyone had like their own like place in there. And then but when they got to the movies, I felt like they rounded them out better than the show
well,
did. Like towards the end of TNG, they started kind of rounding them out versus just Data's just a machine, and Geordie's
well,
just kind of a nerd.
I think some of what can make certain Star Trek special to us is if, like, I was thinking, like, the Next Generation, I'd probably say is my favorite. And I was thinking why. It's probably like because it was the first
Hmm.
I watched, and that can be important, I think, to some people. Um, a question I was wondering is are there any particular days when you celebrate Star Trek more than other days? Some days that come to mind are Enterprise Day on the 17th of January, First Contact Day on April 5th, and Star Trek Day on May 8th.
Always first contact day.
First contact day.
First
yeah.
contact day.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the anniversary of Star Trek.
Star
you know,
Trek.
September.
Yeah, September.
Yeah.
Usually the club, we've always tried to do
September.
something that month as a club, you know, out to the public, you know, to do
Mhm.
something when there's not a pandemic.
Yeah,
Right,
I
yeah,
must
when
have got
it's not-
confused with Star Trek Day and Star Wars Day because Star Wars made it fourth, isn't it?
Star Wars.
Um,
Oh, Star Wars Day.
Once this
Be the fourth.
pandemic's over, we'll be celebrating more. I'm trying to get them to celebrate more online, but you know, it's surprising. I have a younger crew, and it's hard to get them online sometimes. You know,
Mm.
they're just like, well, I was busy doing this, you know, but we don't celebrate a particular day. To me, every day is Star Trek Day.
Cool.
When I see something out in a store that or online that's related to Star Trek, I get that same tingle that I do when I see a pair of shoes I like. And I mean, I actually get a physical like, oh, Star Trek.
What?
Yes, I have to have that. Like when the Tree Topper came out last year, it was
Mhm.
like a hit in the chest. And then I know it would be impractical to have that. I don't need it, but I had to talk myself out of trying to get that.
Right.
Mm.
I have a few Star Trek ornaments that I bought. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big stuff person. I'm more of an experience person. So I do have a few, and I was gonna buy some more, you know, and I was like, oh, I was gonna make like a little mini Trek tree. And then when I went to go buy more, and then I saw how much they really were, I went, oh, I'm gonna be over here with
Right.
the few I have.
Yeah. You know what?
Really?
What I recommend is whenever conventions start going back up again, to go to the conventions because you can buy those things used for a couple dollars.
That's
And they're
cool.
like new, you know,
Flea
and like,
markets.
I-
Flea markets.
I was actually supposed to be at the convention this past year.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I was all set and ready to go 2020 because the last time I went, I've only been to one Star Trek convention. It was 2016. It was amazing. It was the 50th anniversary. So I was so excited. I went, I'm going to do this because growing up, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. People didn't know that I was a Star Trek fan until about 10 years ago, probably because I was like a quiet one.
Oh, okay.
Like very
That's
much
hard
like,
to believe.
oh, huh, I know. Well, you know, when you're like, none of your friends are really into stuff, and they're like, oh, that's really geeky. And I'm like, oh, yeah, geeky. Yeah.
As
As
far
I
I
sit
went
and
to a
watch it.
I went to a small high school, and as far as I know, I'm the only girl that was publicly acknowledging that she liked Trek. Of course, there wasn't any on TV at that time. I think I was 16 when the motion picture came out, but I used to go hang out in the chem lab with these bunch of nerdy guys, and I cannot do chemistry, geometry. I can barely do, well, I can't even do algebra. What am I trying to say? But I would go, but we would talk Trek. And then they taught Star Wars and stuff too. I tell you what it was. It was the time when, you remember when Splinter of the Mind's Eye came out? It was before you knew Luke and Leia were brother and sister.
Oh, okay.
And they kissed in that book. It was an Alan Foster book.
Oh
and
yeah.
they were talking about that, and because nobody knew. But yeah, I would just sit there because none of my family really likes it, just me,
Mhm.
because that was considered for boys or for weird people where I'm from.
Was that Splinter of the Mind's Eye?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love the teacup. I want
Thank you.
one. I want
It was my
one.
husband's.
No,
It's-
both my parents are Trekkies, so I didn't experience that. Both my parents are Trekkies. Trek is in my DNA. Some of my first memories was actually Captain Kirk because I grew up on the reruns of original series,
Mhm.
and then Next Generation came out when I was in the 4th grade. So
Oh,
like for
gosh.
Next Generation, I know I'm making you and Bob feel old. I was in the
You don't want to
4th
know it when it came out for me. I was not in the 4th grade.
I was pregnant with Morgan, and it was Matthew's 3rd birthday. So
Well, maybe. No,
So
I was
Next
definitely
Generation
not.
on, I've been around for all the series coming out.
So
think I was-
regarding you, Star Trek,
think I was
do you prefer to
5.
avoid spoilers like plot details, or do you like to know what's coming up?
Avoid.
Mm.
Avoid hardcore. I hate knowing. Like right now, I love WandaVision. I have no idea what's going on in WandaVision. And about everyone on my Facebook keeps trying to tell me, oh, watch. And I delete their comments. I won't even read it because I'm like,
Mhm.
hey guys, please stop trying to tell me what's happening because I don't want to know. I'm like, because like the excitement of seeing it, and not hearing everything before to know it. After I see it, then you can tell me the sub materials to go to make that experience even better. And then I can rewatch it again with that knowledge. But I like being surprised. I won't even watch trailers anymore because they tell too much.
Mm.
I
See,
mean, I
I'm,
think
I'm kind of the reverse in that I don't get Disney Plus, so I don't get the series, but I would love to see the series because I'm a big comic book fan, and
it's
especially
gorgeous.
Marvel. And, so I already have all these ideas, reading the storylines and knowing about things that I won't talk about. So I'm already thinking like, I know what they're going to do, or I know what direction they're going, but I can't see the show to actually determine if that is actually correct or not. But I'm sure at
It's
some point I'll get to see it,
Can't we
it's
sh-
beautiful.
Can't we
It's
share Disney
beautifully shot.
Plus?
Yeah, I actually I have Disney Plus.
We do too. We ought to share it with the Challenger one night. One of
Oh,
us.
that would be wonderful because
Yeah, I can do that,
They were
Bob.
talking about it on Cocktail Chatter last night, and I didn't go because I was like, what am I going to do? Sit there and listen to all the spoilers? I don't want to do that. So,
Right.
Let's do that. I'll come watch it
Yeah.
again because I'm sure there's stuff
Probably
I
not
missed.
recommend.
Yeah,
And
I would
it-
not.
and
I
it's
would
only a
not
half
recommend.
hour, right? The most of the episodes of WandaVision, much like I think all the Marvel shows that they're planning, are only like a half hour, the average episode.
Right. There's just 3 so far here.
Right.
And there's going to be 8, I think.
Yeah, due
Yes,
to
that'd be-
due to legal concerns, it's probably not a good idea.
I would to
have-
share. Yeah, to share.
Yeah.
Just go over to a friend's house and watch it. Definitely don't share your
Yeah.
password. I would not
Oh
recommend
no,
that.
not share a password, but Disney has a program that you can share while you're watching. Disney Plus
Oh,
does.
right.
That's
Yeah.
why.
Okay.
I think you have to. I think they have to have a password as well. It's the same as like Netflix Party. You have to all be a part. I think you have to be in Netflix as well to do the Netflix Party.
I don't know. Well, I'll find out. Because Tom won't do anything shady. He's my moral compass. I don't mind knowing spoilers if it's going to be something bad, because when Spock died, in case any of y'all haven't seen Star Trek. 2,
Spoilers! Spoilers!
Yeah,
I'm
well,
just kidding.
It killed me. I mean, it hurt to see him die. I mean, I was just bummed for weeks because I thought, well, that's it. He's one of my favorite characters. It'd have been worse even if Dr. McCoy died, because he's my favorite. on
Oh,
there.
he is. my favorite.
But
we were gushing over him last time, especially as I love Carl Urban as Dr. McCoy. So.
well, yeah. If he'd have had
Yeah.
on blue contacts, he would have been 100%
Perfect.
perfect. But he's 99% now.
Right, and as I
Mm.
shared when I was talking with Danny, Leonard Nimoy actually cried when he saw Carl Urban because he was just that on point.
He
He's
was
like, oh my
Ah.
God,
so good.
yes.
So good. See, when you
Yeah.
were talking about spoilers, it's really funny is that one of the reasons why they think Star Trek Beyond did not do very well in the theater is the trailer told the entire story, so no one went and saw the movie. Because that's what happens with trailers sometimes.
I
And-
enjoyed that movie.
I
No, but
love it.
apparently,
I do.
apparently there were
Yeah.
changes that needed to be made for that trailer as well, because I'm sure reading stories about like the studio was thinking it was too.
I
They
thought it
said
was,
like too Star Trek or something like that. They wanted to.
and that's
be
why
more-
it's
more
my
Marvel.
favorite. It's actually out of the 3, it's my favorite. I feel like I told my husband, who's not a big Star Trek fan. I remember we went. So you're talking about like a movie experience. So my husband, he will go to movies with me. Have no inkling of it. As long as he can enjoy it, he's fine. So when we went to Star Trek Beyond and we left, he goes, "I actually really like that one," and I went, "I really enjoyed it because I felt that movie was episodic. I wanted to see the next episode." And my husband, because I love that it had the nice balance of Trek technobabble to just fun adventure. And it wasn't so like, it wasn't too, because sometimes I think with Trek, they try to be kind of Star Warsy now because they're like, cowboys in space. Well, you have the science aspect of it. That's why I like it. And my husband is actually someone who is very science minded, it does a lot of scientific different things, but he found it super interesting. So that's why it was kind of fun. And I when I was looking back at it, out of the 3, it's my favorite. I felt like it I felt like I was watching an episode of Star Trek, like a long one, and then at the end of
Yeah,
it, I was ready for another one. Like I was on an adrenaline rush versus like the second one
yeah,
where I was like, I didn't
it was
hate it.
action
It's
packed.
not my favorite.
But
And
yeah, well,
I thought
I
it was
found
a
something
vast
I found
improvement over
interesting about
Into Darkness.
something I found interesting
yeah,
about the second film was a family member, a member of my family, who doesn't, who is, she's not a Trekkie or a tracker. Um, but she watched it and she really enjoyed it, and it turned out she didn't realize it was on like an alternate reality. And I was like how could I didn't really understand how you could watch the entire film and not realize that it's in a different reality from like a lot of Star Trek. But I suppose like we know that because we're familiar with Star
Mm,
Trek. But I thought it was interesting how, someone that's new to Trek can watch a film or whatever and get a completely different, interpretation of it.
Hmm.
That can be interesting.
I think it was because at least with that movie when it came out, so that was the 50-year anniversary. It was not promoted very well, and then as I said,
No.
the trailer literally gives away the ending, which was weird. Like after seeing the trailer and seeing the movie, it literally gives away the ending. So a
Mm.
lot of people were just like, wait, didn't I already see this? So,
Hmm.
and when we were surprised is that we were going to the 50th anniversary, and then Anton Yelchin had died right before like everything had
Mm.
Yeah.
happened. And we were expecting them to have like, because remember, it's my first convention ever, and I bought it purposely to do the 50th. They didn't talk about the movie at all. I figured they'd be like, because another friend of mine, we had went together. We were expecting to go see the movie again, like have them do like, hey, go to buy a theater out, and we all pay tickets, pay and go. Because I thought that would have been exciting. We all just go and have one big. None of that. None. They barely talked about it. It was barely there. I mean, a lot of the newer cast wasn't there anyways, but it was such a missed opportunity. I was kind of
yeah.
sad.
Hmm.
Many chapters in Starfleet, when a new movie comes out, are able to, if they have a good rapport with a local movie theater manager, and there's no pandemic, we get to basically camp out, not overnight, but basically camp out in the movie theater on premiere weekend, going from Friday all the way to, Sunday night. And Challenger has done this since Star Trek 5. And I remember that, for Star Trek and in 2009, and then
Mhm.
Into Darkness, and this last one, Beyond, they even built us a transporter room, which was really cool. So we had, and the manager, because the managers don't hang around too long. Every time we've done this, we've always had to deal with a new manager, and it was always like, we hope that they're into promotions, and we hope they're into Star Trek. But he made it a point to make that the featured promotional movie that they would throw money to. So that's why they were able to build this little transporter room thing as an added thing to our table, to our area of memorabilia, and us showing up in uniform and everything.
Hmm.
So the sad part about that was, as much fun as we had, I mean, hey, they even threw food in for us one night,
Oh
That's
wow,
nice.
to the public as well. But putting it right on our table, doing that to Challenger was just like, what are you kidding? Don't you want some for the rest of the public? Because we're eaters. So, and they
Aren't we
had like
all?
little games. We played games with some of the kids. I mean, I don't know. There was Triple Toss or something like that. So we had so much fun, but we could tell that weekend, more so than Into Darkness and more so than Star Trek, that there just wasn't a lot of people going into the theater. And we felt bad because we enjoyed the movie so much and we
Mhm.
had
I
so
thought
much fun.
I think
The
it's
manager wore a uniform, and he got his girlfriend, who wasn't even into Star Trek. She came and she wore a uniform. So, and we, of course, we used this as a recruiting opportunity as
Right.
well.
right.
Plus, to get in to see the movie for free, which isn't bad either. So, but we felt bad because it's like, where is everybody? I mean, it was a very
it
sunny
was
day, and we were in the Jersey Shore, and Into Darkness was a very rainy weekend, which is great to get people into the movie theaters. But we kind of thought it's more than that, because there wasn't a lot of people.
I poor that poor movie. I just because I think it's their best one. At that point, I think as it with how we were talking about like characters are like actually developed. Because I really actually really enjoy Star Trek, 2009, and I enjoy the third one. The one in the middle is there.
Yeah,
I don't dislike it, but I mean I own it. I mean, but
yeah.
it's not the one only way I watch that is if I'm watching them, the three of them. Like I sit and do that out there, or I'm
Even Jaina was very well developed, and
I was so excited about that character, and then
and sadly, I think we knew, because he died prior to the release.
Oh.
Chekhov, we kind of knew like, well, she's the natural. She's going to take over. She's going to Starfleet Academy. They need a new, brilliant navigator or ops person, and she'll be it. This is perfect. When will we get number 4? Just like you said, like let's do another one right away. And then of course
they just
we don't even know if there'll be a number 4.
But I think that they also waited too long between the second and the third one.
Yes.
Well, I was thinking that it seems like they built up the promotion for Star Trek 2009, and then for each of the 2 subsequent films, it seems like
they just
the attendance was impacted by the film before.
Yeah.
So I'm like 2009. I thought it was great. I mean, most people who watch it, they all really enjoyed it, and that's what I said. I think the second one, it was just also how that was marketed, where it's not Khan, not Khan, it's
so many
Khan.
Fans were frustrated by that.
It was a job, is what
it was. I think that's what kind of just it drove people out. They were just like, and I'm out. Now you're just like, and don't rehash stories. I mean, you can because it's an alternate timeline, so obviously Khan would be there. But would he be the same person, or like, or have him be something else? I don't care.
As Benedict Cumberbatch is, but still, you're never going to beat Ricardo Montalban.
I know. Him and his pecs.
But even the fact that there's like basically no explanation in the film for the change of appearance and culture and stuff like that.
I was like, why call him Khan?
Well, they weren't left. They weren't. If that was his name, but I mean, they weren't left that changed his orbit. He didn't have to go through the stuff that Ricardo's character went through. Mm-hmm. That Admiral was holding him all hostage.
Yeah. But remember, the time gap was different too, because that was not Wrath of Khan timeline, because that was 15 years. At least 15 years afterwards, where he was marooned. We were still, it was around Space Seed time period.
It should be Space Seed, where they first meet him.
So
I think that's
it just didn't work.
Yeah, poor. I love Benedict Cumberbatch, but
we talked about, was it ethical? I mean, that dad did wrong. He should have let his daughter die. And I said, no, I can see why he did that, but I would have still tried to find a way to get everybody out of the building. I just wondered if Benedict was holding the medicine off until after the bomb went off.
Well, remember the dad.
Well, it's his super blood. The medicine was his super blood.
Yeah, but I mean, did he give it to the little girl and then the dad went and blew the building up, or was he still holding it?
Well, the dad gave it to the little girl, which is funny because that's Mickey Smith. I was like,
oh, that's right.
Yes.
And the first time I saw it, I didn't even realize it was him until I recently rewatched it and went, oh my God, it's
Mickey!
Yeah.
He never gets a break.
Poor Mickey never gets a break.
He does end up with Martha, so, I guess he did well.
What was that,
the next question, basically. I was wondering, do you enjoy, while watching Star Trek films and episodes, the context that can be brought to viewings by knowing behind the scenes details, such as, it's Mickey Smith, basically.
It's Mickey Smith. That's just it. It's still the same. I like the behind the scenes stuff after. I just like when movies are escapism. That's literally what they are. The
Mhm.
reason that they became what they even were thanks to like the Great Depression, where people really started going out and trying to, escape the lives that they're in. So we do the same thing when we go to a movie. And I feel like if I just know too much of like the behind the scenes, everything else beforehand, am I really escaping, or am I just sitting here going, oh, well, I see that now where they've done that in the back and it's done this. And I'm like, so that's why we say I like to watch something first and then
Mhm.
know, and then watch it again and go, okay, there you go.
I
Mickey
want to
Smith.
bounce off of what she just said, because it's I think it was Star Trek. I think it was Into the Darkness, where they have the scene where they're running throughout the like the engine room. That was the Budweiser plant, and I think it was that movie. But like seeing, like, if I would have seen the behind the scenes first and
It was
then seen the
2009.
movie, it does. It's like it takes away my imagination.
You're like,
Oh, you guys are
oh,
just running across the Budweiser plant.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good
You know,
point. Yeah.
yeah. So like,
yeah.
yeah, so I want to see it afterwards. And like, oh, okay, that's how you did it, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah, the Budweiser brewery was in Star Trek 2009. I think they shot in
Yeah.
the Harren generating station for Into Darkness.
yeah, yeah. I forget which one it was, but it was like they were running throughout the engine room, and like it was Scotty going through
Yeah.
the tubes.
He had
Yeah, I think it's
accidentally
different.
That was
beamed
the
into
Budweiser
the
plant.
To a
chamber.
pipe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
So,
love
which episodes or films do you think are underrated?
Mm.
Insurrection was.
Yes,
Insurrection.
Insurrection.
I love Insurrection.
Yeah, I love Insurrection.
I do too.
Star Trek Beyond, I still think is way underrated. I think it is.
Definitely.
I think
yeah.
it's a great movie. I'm like, it was almost, it should have almost been the second movie. They should have just dumped. They should have let the
Yeah.
con thing go. But once again, I think that's a whole JJ thing, because I actually am not a big fan of newer Star Wars movies, even though I wasn't a huge Star Wars buff. Like, I love Star Wars TV. Good gravy. Give me Mandalorian all day long. Hey, Mandalorian.
I did like Rogue One.
I loved Rogue One.
Rogue One was great.
I
yeah.
loved Rogue One, and I think if they would have all been kind of like that, I think I would have, been more. Because I guess I had to know, I had to probably have rewatched more and understood more of like things for me to understand, like the Rey and everything else and their families. I've never seen the last one.
I like the Solo movie too.
I enjoyed
Not.
Solo. I enjoyed Solo.
I like that. I like that actor. I saw him in something else.
Army
And-
Hammer, wasn't it?
No, it's like that.
No.
It's a funny name, an unusual name. I should say,
No.
not funny. But he was in that Hail Caesar movie with George.
I
McClane.
love that movie.
He was the cowboy, the actor
Oh, okay. I love Hail Caesar.
through the Western cowboy,
That's a really underrated movie.
and he was just cute as a button in that, And it's a bizarre movie, but it's good.
I love that. That
If
was
you have not seen Hail Caesar, what is that? There's a set of brothers that do it,
Coen Brothers.
Coen brothers.
Oh,
But that's like-
And Channing Tatum's in it, and he's
Yeah,
really
and he dances.
that tap dancing scene is amazing. And he really, like, I love that we just went out of Star Trek really quick for a second,
Yeah,
but
I
he
know, but-
really rehearsed very hard, because he wanted to do it himself, kind of like how Richard Gere wanted to do it himself in Chicago.
Yeah,
Billy, a tap dance. So, but
that was good.
Emily Clark was in Solo, right? She was.
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah, I just saw her last night in a movie
Queen.
called Voice of the Stone, which was a very interesting and haunting horror movie that I bought for $1 at a Dollar Tree store. But
Really?
it was compelling,
not?
and she was. I don't want to get into it because we're talking about another topic, but I'm a
Love
fan of
Lady
hers. I
Gaga.
like her. I like her in whatever she's in. So
I'll have to look that up.
Where's my dragons?
yeah.
Because I watched
love
on
Game of
YouTube a Russian mermaid story that was a horror movie the other night, and it was good.
Oh,
was-
I bet I saw that too. What was it
Lake
called?
of the Dead or something like that. It was about a rusalka, not a ocean mermaid, but a freshwater one.
Yeah,
Oh,
and was a lot of it spent at a cabin?
Yes,
Uh,
a lake house.
Yes, I saw. Picked that up at another lovely Dollar Tree
Dollar Tree.
purchase around
Dollar Tree.
Halloween.
$1.
One year at a Dollar Tree, I got these huge Star Trek books. It was the script of every episode that Q had been in.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And I got that and I bought one for me and then one for an auction at a convention.
Oh,
And Region 6 conference, I went to that one year. See, that's a good thing when you meet people in Starfleet, and if you have the funds, it just so happened I was able to at that time. I went to the Region 6 conference, which is in Minnesota and Wisconsin, that area. And it was very small, but it was great. There was this couple there that made Star Trek food. Had little pieces of dried pineapple they'd cut the shape of like targ teeth and dipped them in chocolate.
Ooh.
Yeah, and just it was fun, but it was small. There was maybe just under 100 people.
nice.
But
Yeah.
you get to meet a lot of great people. So
And talking
I-
about Star Trek food, I actually made Hasbro one time. Which was-
Really?
Yes, it was good.
did you
It has,
say
it has
it?
a really good kick to it because it has garlic and
Because it's
you know,
supposed to be
it's
spicy.
It has a bite to
Ooh.
it.
Is
but
that
it
in
is-
is that Neelix's cookbook?
No, I forget where. Like a friend of mine and I got it. Like he was able to find the Hasbro because it's a Bajoran dish.
Yep.
And I
And
don't
have
think it's in the
Hasbro.
Neelix cookbook, but it was someone else,
Right.
like who was able to figure it out. Like because from that
It's
Bajoran
like
episode,
Babish.
every time, the Hasbro, just the great bite, just like my mom. Like
I think we have a recipe for one version of that because my ship for many years has held
I have that cookbook. I got that. I just got that
Food
for
Festival.
Christmas.
right.
My cat
we
chewed
do
the
the same
corner of
thing.
it.
I just got for Christmas. Someone sent me a cookbook and also the drink
Right.
menu,
And
which
that's
is
a
also
good
great.
way. Bringing this conversation back on how you like to watch Star Trek. This is another fun way to enjoy Star Trek is having Star Trek dishes,
Mhm.
and drinks and just making it like an overall just fun experience, not just like sitting around and watching an episode or a movie
Right.
together. It brings another like when I mentioned when we watched Picard with my Star Trek crew in Pittsburgh, we had Earl Grey tea. We were drinking Earl Grey tea, enjoying the first episode of Picard. That
Yeah.
that added to the experience.
Yeah, and I've noticed like some
Yeah.
fans like to do, like the drinking game, like however many times you hear
Yeah.
it says healing frequencies open or whatever, you're
Right.
gonna take a drink or whatever. I was thinking some of the episodes in films that I think are underrated.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking
Underrated.
about
Okay.
Spock's Brain. I really enjoyed that
Oh.
one. And
You enjoyed
Spock's
that?
Star Trek
That's my-
Nemesis.
Brain.
That's an hour of my life I'll never get.
Never get-
If they had tweaked it a little bit, and that could be a topic of a future show, episodes that went awry, but if they had tweaked just a little bit, like
Oh,
how could you have made Sub Rosa actually a better or acceptable episode? But
yeah.
Spock's Brain, if it wasn't, I think I could get over the main premise. If it wasn't the physical brain coming out of his body, I think if it was, and they could have introduced, this was years before they thought of the Katra and everything in a way to bring Spock back. But can you imagine if it was just basically they had removed the essence of Spock? Now,
Mhm.
like his mind was gone, not his brain, but his mind was gone, and that they would have done everything the same way, and
Right.
it would have been less ridiculous, I
Right.
think. And
But I
there's-
think
one
it's often misunderstood where a lot of people think that it was done with like serious intention. But I really like because it is ridiculous and it is like sort of kitschy. And I think that was the actual intention behind it.
Yeah.
Well, and
Well,
I
no,
still think of
I-
McCoy
Yeah.
when McCoy has to have like what resembled the hair dryer that my aunt used to go to a friend of hers, and I unfortunately had to tag along at times and sit through, reading my comic books as remember back in the day when ladies would go and you have the dryers. Well, they had a clear plastic headpiece like that. And one time I put my, it wasn't being used, so I put my head under it, and they're like, "What are you doing, Bob?" And I'm like, I'm going to know how to remove Spock's brain. They didn't understand that. but it looked the same way. It looked ridiculous, you know.
Right. No, another episode that was just I have to agree with James doing. We're on the same page on this one. The space hippies. Oh my gosh.
Wait to eat.
Real now.
I remember Bob singing part of that song one time at a conference. He pretended he was playing a guitar and he was singing it.
I'm
Just
sorry.
as no, it was at the table. We were joking, and it was just funny because Bob
Yeah.
don't care.
No,
Yeah, it was-
I have no shame. We've proven that over the decades. You
It's
know.
just funny.
See, it's
You
funny
were
'cause-
there, Kibby, I think, for the USO, for the first ever USS Justice when they held the USO show, right? Yeah. So you know what Alex and I and Mike Clufus wore. So you know we had.
Yeah, Mike Clufus. Lord, I haven't seen him in years.
so
But he's not in
since-
Starfleet anymore, is he?
I don't think he and Chris are. No, I'm
Right.
Facebook friends with them. Unfortunately,
I'm
Chris just
Facebook
lost
with
her
Chris.
mom.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So go ahead, Danny. What were you saying?
So since I'm not, I mean, I've seen TOS episodes, but a long time ago. I think I've seen most of them only once. My favorite underrated episode is Move Along Home from Deep Space Nine, because I think it's hilarious. But I
Yeah,
think it also,
was cute.
and I
It was
also
cute.
think that it gave them all, because it's also the first, the first season. It kind of gave them all like personality that you didn't really know about them. And it kind of shows them getting together, because at that point, there's still random people who've been put together on
Mhm.
this space station in an opportunity that was not, some of them really wanted to be there, other ones didn't want to be there, so I thought it was just, or didn't want them to be there, I should say.
Yeah.
And I love it. Plus I think that even in the end, it kind of shows that even though Ferengi are supposed to be like, just ultimate, not caring about anything as long as it's up to them, it gave Quark kind of a heart, because once he realized what he was doing, he freaked out, because he didn't want to, he didn't want to be the end of them, even though, of course, he loves money. But you realize that you get this whole idea that Quark is not the Ferengi you think he is,
Yeah.
because you like that inkling of it. So, and besides, it has the song that freaks out my husband every once in a while when I sing it.
Yeah.
Alan Rain, count to Alan Rain.
You need to
3
watch
times
some more original series because most of them have a certain charm to them. Because when you think that they had no computer, no CGI, and what they had to work with. I remember reading in the making of Trek, because like you said, you couldn't just go out and buy 20 chairs that came from a certain planet. You had to make it, and they only had so much for the studio was saying, we need more planet shows, but you need to save money. And with saving money, you have ship shows. And they see the director sent him out for greenery. And he said, that doesn't look like an alien planet. And he picked it up and turned it upside down in the pot where the roots stuck out. He goes, that's an alien plant. And
That's something. I appreciate that aesthetic, because it's really like Enterprise is, I enjoy it for what it is. I think that Enterprise was great in that aspect of respecting TOS, like that it, at least it, even though they had we had the technology during the time where Enterprise was made to make it look more, this and this. I like that it looked like it was something that they had just kind of put together, and it wasn't overly complicated. So like, I think Discovery gets overly complicated in its design, and that was, where you're going, wait, they have holograms, stuff like
beautiful
that,
to
and I'm
look
like,
at, but it's clearly not what it's. You can't.
it's not the
look
same.
at
It's
that
not the.
and say that's 10 years before.
That's
original
10 years
Trek.
before the
You
original
need-
one. It's weird.
No,
I-
no.
No, and I'm like, and once again, it is not, before anyone freaks out, I am not hating on Discovery.
No, I'm
I
not
just
either.
have
it's
criticism.
fine.
But let's be clear,
I-
that's
I
not
like-
the retro
I-
that we were looking for.
Yes, that is, if you tell me that you're going for a retro look, then I'm good. And so I'm like, I'm not one of those people who are like, oh, I hate this, I hate that. I'm just like, that was the thing that bugged me about Discovery when I first watched it, was I was like, oh, I mean, Enterprise kind of got this right, better. I mean, they're like, 100 years before, and I still felt like, you could watch Enterprise and then go watch the, the original series and still feel like they have a connection, versus the other way.
Well,
So
Watch-
is
for
if you
those-
watch
so is
Discovery and
continuity
watch-
something that you think
it's
is
a-
important.
Yes.
those of
I
us
think-
that have seen the fan series, Star Trek Continues, which does such an extraordinary job. Like you, after you watch the first episode, you can get over like, okay, Shatner, Nimoy, they're not in
Yeah.
the show, but that's still
That's fine.
Kirk, Scotty, and Spock and
Yeah.
McCoy. But they went out of their way, and they had to because of the budget constraints they had, but to make it feel so much like a fourth and fifth season of Star Trek, with the use of the music, the use of the sound effects, the use of
Mhm.
the sets. It felt and they were able to introduce new characters and expand on storylines introduced early on, in classic Trek. But they did it right. And when I see how wonderful, and and I'm not going to call them amateurs, but they're not professionals, to see what a wonderful job they did with the scripts and the sets and the music and everything to set that tone. And then I see like CBS when they started Discovery. And again, I'm not bashing Discovery
Yes.
for what it is.
I was saying,
either.
so everyone calm down. You can be critical of
Yeah.
things and
But-
still
but-
love them.
But the look, but seeing like, and then the attitude being, well, of course they had to show it because we have this technology now. No, I enjoyed
That's-
Star Trek Continues just as much when they with their devotion to what was established. Then I do, Discovery, which just could have set the show in the future in the first place, and then it would have had a better
It-
tone, I think.
Okay, cool.
I actually really
Um,
like, so the Enterprise for Discovery, which is very close to like 2009, I felt like they all made sense. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the actual kind of ships and stuff, they kind of made more sense than the Discovery ship.
Mm.
Like, because they tried to, you still heard the noises in Enterprise, when they showed you
Yeah.
there. I still love their costumes. I still think that their uniforms for the Enterprise crew in Discovery are my favorite. They're so vibrant. They're so beautiful. I think they're fantastic. And Captain Pike's amazing.
Yeah. That
So,
he is.
Anson Mount.
regarding what we can enjoy from Star Trek and discussions, I really think that it's enjoyable to discuss Star Trek. So I'd definitely like to thank you all for joining me today to do that.
It's
Thank
been a
you for
pleasure.
having
Oh, it's been a lot
Always
of fun. I enjoy doing this.
Oh yeah. Catch you on the flippy floppy.
Yeah. So click the like and subscribe buttons. Hopefully you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, you can click the like and subscribe buttons. And we'll see you next time on the Scotch Tracker. Track you later.